Well, hello guys and girls out there, wherever you are. Welcome to another totally random weekly video. And yes, today's video is finally going to be mini disc related again. I know no matter how many videos I make, most of my subscribers will probably always prefer my mini disc videos because, well, that's still kind of the thing that I'm known for, and I really don't blame you. So in today's video we're going to take a look at this little thing right here. Yeah, so this is the Sony MDS 101, and it's quite an interesting little device, well, historically speaking, because this has been the very first ever mini disc deck. Yeah, this was the first. And it's really nice. I know that the Sony MZ1 has been the first mini disc device ever, but that was a portable one. Even though it was actually big enough to be considered a small mini disc deck, it still was a mini disc Walkman. And this right here is the very first ever mini disc deck. And yeah, I just love that thing. The reason why I got it is because I already have the Sony MDS JE640, and you know, I kind of want to prolong the life of this thing a little bit by using it really just as a recorder but not as a player. So I always wanted to have like a small device to play my mini discs on, because those things are called mini discs. So I wanted to have a small device to play my mini discs on, and that's where the MDS 101 comes in handy. I already tried the MZ1, but then the disk loading mechanism failed and I wasn't able to fix it, so yeah, that was a shame. Then I tried the portables that I already had. So first I tried the MZR55, but that was really not working. I mean, the opening mechanism alone was really extremely annoying. I want to have something that I could operate with just one hand. So that's when I tried the MZR37, which already looks like a small miniature mini disc deck with all the buttons on the front and the little front-facing display. And the disk loading or the opening mechanism worked a lot better than on the R55, but I still wasn't really pleased with that solution because I really want to have like a disk loading mechanism. And another problem is that those portables, they make a lot of noise when they play the mini discs. It's not audible when you listen to your music over headphones, but when you listen to your music over speakers at a decent volume, it gets pretty annoying pretty fast. So yeah, that's when I knew I want to have a small mini disc deck that is not portable. And I know there is quite a few other mini disc decks out there, smaller ones, for example from Onki and other various different companies, but they are quite expensive sometimes, and they also look way too elegant because they are mostly in a gray or silver finish, and I wanted to have something black, something that looked retro and vintage, and that also had like this, yeah, pretty much this cyberpunk-ish look to it. So that's why I decided I want to get the MDS 101. And I got this one off of eBay, and the device alone only cost me 17 euros because the guys who sold it, he sold it as untested. So this mostly means that it's not working. I also had the chance to get a new old stock one, but I really didn't feel like spending 200 bucks on that thing, so I went with this one, untested, 17 euros. So enough talking, now let's take a closer look at what this thing has to offer, what kind of features it has, and also what kind of problems it has. So it has, of course, the standard in and outputs. So it has analog in and out, as well as optical in and out. So pretty standard, pretty basic stuff. We have a microphone input, we have a headphone connection, and it's a small one, not the big one that we normally have on most Minidisc decks. Volume control for the headphones. We have input selection between analog and stereo, analog and digital. The display button, clock set button, record level. This is the sensor for the remote control, which unfortunately I don't have. Edit, no and yes. Skip forward, backward, play mode, play, pause, and stop. So the normal standard stuff. So let's take a closer look at this machine. So it is still giving me disk error messages sometimes, but yeah, that's probably just the way it is. So it's not really that reliable, and as you can tell, the display, there is stuff glowing that isn't really supposed to be glowing. I mean, it looks a lot worse on camera, but yeah, this device is quite old. So let's put in a recordable mini disc. So let's take a look at some of the features. So I pushed the edit button, and if I'm right here, you can see it's just flashing, because if we are in the stop mode, we have to push and hold edit in order to enter that menu. Now we can decide between erase all. Wait a second. Erase all. Name erase. And that's it. So you might have noticed, okay, there is nothing that tells us title the disk or something like that. So let's take a look at what kind of options we have when we are in play mode. So here we only push once, we don't need to hold it. So we can choose between erasing this track, we can divide the track, we can combine tracks, we can move the track, and that's it. Again, we can not title the track. So to title the track, you really need the remote control. And I mean, I kind of understand that they already thought, okay, titling the tracks on this device without the remote control, it would be really freaking annoying. So you would have to use the forward and backward button to select the characters and all that kind of stuff. So they decided nobody will ever do that, so we are not even giving them the option. But the downside is, if you have lost the remote control, well, yeah, then you can't title the tracks, which is kind of a little bit a shame. But you know, like I said, I don't really wanted to use it as a recorder or for editing anyway, so it's not really that big of a problem. So play mode, for some reason we cannot select that if we are playing a mini disc, so we can choose between shuffle and program. Well, we can't really see it, it's very blurry on the camera, but it says program. But there is also a chance when you have the remote control that you can decide to repeat the tracks or repeat the entire disc. Don't know why you can't select that option on the deck itself, but it's again one of those things where you need the remote control. And another thing that you need the remote control for is, for example, if you want to scan the music, which means that it will play the entire disc, but always just 10 seconds of each song. So that's something that you can only do with the remote control. Yeah, and you also have a auto space function. I think that's what it's called. That you can also only select when you have the remote control. So auto space means that it creates a space or a pause between each song if you play the mini disc. So for example, maybe you have a mini disc where the tracks are really tight together, so there isn't really a pause between each track. So if you select auto pause or auto space, it will create a pause between those songs. So what else can we do with this thing? We can set the clock, so date and day, date function. We can do this because when we record something, it will also record a timestamp. So that's really a nice thing. I wish more mini disc devices would have that feature. So that means that you can always look back and look at the timestamp and think, oh, I recorded this song or this disc on July 3rd, 1998 or something like that. So gives you a little bit of a nostalgic feel. But the weird thing is that this deck, well, at least I don't know if you can do it with the remote control, but this deck doesn't give me the ability to show the time code that it recorded. So if I play a song and I push the display button, I can see the title of the track, I can see the time that has passed, the remaining time, and that's it. No timestamp. So that's really weird that it records a timestamp, but it doesn't show me the timestamp. So let me just show you what it would look like on a mini disc device where you have a timestamp that you can see. So here we have a mini disc inside, the R55, and it's a mini disc that I recorded with the MDS 101 with a timestamp. So if we push the display button, there we can see the timestamp. Don't know why we can only see it for a short time. Or maybe because the song is over. Let's play it again. So there you can see it. So pretty nice feature, I like it. I wish the MDS 101 would have the ability to show us the timestamp as well. So kind of weird. Yeah. But as you can tell, it plays everything well. Well, here we have another pre-recorded disc. And you can also see how fast it can read the disc. And everything works flawlessly. So it really only has problems with recorded mini discs. Like I said, sometimes I get a disk error. There was also a time where I tried to erase a disk and it told me that it cannot add it, which is pretty weird because that's a message that you only get if you try to edit a pre-recorded disc. So kind of a weird thing. Another weird thing is this deck doesn't has a mono recording function. So we cannot record in mono, which again wouldn't be so much of a problem for me because I didn't want to use it as a recorder. But the weird thing is it also can't play mono recorded discs. And that's what I call crap. That's really crap. Why doesn't it even support mono recorded discs? I mean, even the MZ1, who also couldn't record in mono, could flawlessly play mono recorded discs. So if even the first mini disc recorder ever that came out, I would say 1 or maybe even 2 years before this mini disc deck, if that one could play mono recorded discs, why can't this one? So in the original manual it said something about, yeah, this mini disc deck was designed as a hi-fi component for your stereo system or whatever, so therefore it doesn't support mono recorded discs. So it sounds like they left away that feature because they thought mono recorded discs, well, that's not hi-fi, so we are not giving you that option. It really sucks, and that is also probably the main reason why I am not going to keep that deck, unfortunately. I mean, it really is a really nice and small deck. I mean, look, compared to my hand, it is a really nice and small deck. But come on, seriously, a mini disc deck that doesn't play mono recorded discs, it's kind of ridiculous. And I don't want to keep it just for novelty reasons. It's just, yeah, it is incredibly weird. Another thing that is weird, like you have already seen it when we turn it into standby mode, it would just say standby on the screen. So why didn't they put a little LED somewhere that glows when it's turned off? No, they decided the display is going to show you that it's now in standby mode, and it will do it constantly, so the display never turns off, which is incredibly weird because this way it consumes more electricity, and it definitely also isn't really good for the overall lifespan of the display. Well, at least, like I said, we could also set the clock and the time, so at least we can push the display button to change between this really weird standby screen or standby mode to clock mode. So this way it at least shows us the day and the time, which is kind of useful. But then again, I thought, why can you set the time, but this thing doesn't really have a timer function, so they forgot about that. I mean, now that we have the time, wouldn't it be really great to use this thing as a clock or something like this? An alarm clock, so that it can wake you with the music? But no, it really just shows you the time. And there is another weird thing, as you can tell, there is always just one of those two dots flashing. And that is an indicator of where in the current minute we are. So if the top one is flashing, that means that we are somewhere in the first half of the current minute. And now if the bottom one is flashing, that means that we are somewhere in the second half of the current minute. That's so weird. That's also something that I have never seen on any digital clock or digital watch or whatever. It's so weird. But then again, it also is quite unique. So yeah, all that stuff together, I came to the conclusion I'm not going to keep it. And I'm just glad that I didn't get the new old stock one, because boy, would I had been pissed if I would have spent 200 euros on a mini disc deck that can't even play mono recorded discs. But yeah, that's just the way it is. So I will try to get another mini disc deck that I can use as a player in order to prolong the life of my MDS JE640. Unfortunately, the MDS 101 isn't the one. It's really sad. It's a shame, but you know, there's nothing you can do about it. So yeah, that's it right now. Thanks for watching, and I see you in the next totally random video. Bye.